Are you ready for the STAAR test? Today we're reviewing STAAR Math Exam Grade 6. This was from the 6th grade test from May 2021. And so we're going to go through the first part. We're going to do part 1 today in this video. And part 1 is going to be problems 1 through 14. And then we'll pause it there and we'll continue then with another video. Let's take a look at some of the formulas that are provided for the 6th grade mathematics as reference materials. Area of a triangle is given, 1/2 base times height. Area of a rectangle or parallelogram is base times height. And the area of a trapezoid is given, where you have 1/2 base 1 plus base 2 times height. And the volume of a rectangular prism is the area of the base times the height, or length times width times height. So these formulas may be used on the test. They will be provided for you. So you do not need to memorize these formulas, but you need to know how to use them and how to reference them in the test. So this will be provided for you on the test. Also provided would be additional reference materials for length, customary, and metric, as well as volume and capacity in customary and metric. And you also have weight and mass, customary and metric. And so that will be available in case you have any questions on those during the test. Okay, let's take a look at problem number 1. A group of 4 friends paid a total of $50.24 for tickets to a museum. Each friend paid the same amount. So how much did each friend pay for a ticket? So in this case, you have a total of $50.24, and that has to be divided by 4 evenly. So you might take 50.24, and we're going to divide that by 4. And this could be long division. 4 into 5 is 1. 1 times 4 is 4. And then we subtract. 5 minus 4 is 1. Bring down the 0. 4 into 10 goes 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8, and then we subtract 8 from 10. That leaves you 2, and then you bring down the next number here, which is a 2. 4 into 22 is 5. It goes 5 times because 5 times 4 is 20. And then you bring down 22 minus 20 is 2. Bring down this 4. And so now I have 24. 4 goes evenly into 24 6 times. So the answer here should be 12.56, or $12.56. So the answer was D. Now, you might be thinking, is there another way of doing this? It's possible that we could do this a different way. Let's take a look at this. So we have $50 and we have 24 cents. And we're going to divide those evenly. So an alternate way, or a different way of doing this, is to divide the 24 cents divided by 4. So each one will have to pay 6 cents, 24 divided by 4. And then we also have $50 divided by 4. So if you take 50 divided by 2, that's 25. If you take 25 divided by 2, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to reduce this. 50 over 4, I can reduce it by 2. That would be 25 over 2. 25 divided by 2 is 1250. So I'm going to have 1250 when I divide 50 divided by 4. Or you could just take 50 and divide it by 4, and you will get 1250. But remember, there was 24 cents divided by 4. That's 6. So when you add the 1250 plus the 6 cents, that will give you $12.56. So it's another way of checking your work. So the correct answer here was $12.56 for number 1. Problem number 2 says there are 160 employees who work for a company. The histogram summarizes the amount of time each employee has been in his or her current position at this company. So the bottom, it says the time in months, and up here you have the number of employees. And so we need to look at each of the answers and see which one must be true which statement must be true based on this histogram. So for answer F, there are 5 employees. Over here is the number of employees. There are 5 employees who have been at their current position for 30 to 35 months. So if we take this 5 and go all the way across, you see right here that you have 30 to 35. So that sounds right. That is true, isn't it? 5 employees, and they've been there for 30 to 35 months. This is the time in months. So this looks like that is correct. Now, to be fair, let's take a look at the other answers. Answer G says that there are 6 to 11 employees who have been at their current position for 15 months. Well, there's 6 to 11 here, but this is months. And over here, 15 is the number of employees. So these are switched around. So the number of employees is and the number of time are switched around. So that is incorrect. It should be 15 employees for 6 to 11 months. So that is switched around. It's a little bit tricky, so you have to be careful when you're reading this. For letter H, half of the employees have been at the current position 18 or more months. Well, 18 or more months, you would have 45 here, and 24 to 29, you would have 20, and 30 to 35, you would have 5. And if we add those, that would be 70. And 70 is not half of 160. Remember, there were 160 employees. So that is incorrect. That is not a true statement, so we have to rule that out. Now we have J. We need to rule that one out. It says half the employees have been at their current position 11 or fewer months. So you have 40 here and 15. That is not half of 160, so that is incorrect. So in this case, the first answer that comes out is answer F, and that is correct because there are 5 employees who have been at their current position for 30 to 35 months. So the answer was F. This type of question, you have to take your time. Speed is not important. You do not have to be in a hurry. Take your time and read through all the possible questions, all the possible answers, and select the correct answer. Okay, so in number 3, the circles in the model represent positive and negative units. And so the ones that are shaded here in dark are -1. So right here, these are -1 for each one of those dark ovals that are shaded. And then the other one, the ones that are not shaded, maybe we'll use blue for that. These here are 1. So these are +1. And so we need to find an equation that is true based on this model. So we have 3 of these, so this would be -3. But we have 5 positive ones, so this would be a +5. So if you look at answers A and B, they both have -3 + 5 and -3 + 5. So that means that C and D would be ruled out. So the answer here is between A or B. They both have a -3 and a +5. What is -3 + 5? Is it 2 or -2? Well, 5 minus 3 is 2, so this should be the correct answer. And all you have to do, actually, is if you look at this, +1 and -1, those will cancel out. Right here, a +1 and a -1, those will cancel out. And right here, a +1 and -1, those will cancel out. And you're left with 2 of these, which are the positive ones. So +2 is the correct answer. So the answer there should be B for number 3. Okay, so for problem number 4, it says, which list shows the numbers in order from greatest to least? So we want the largest first, and then the smallest, in order from greatest to least. And you have some negative numbers and some positive numbers. I'm looking at the answers, and these are the same 5 numbers on each of the answers. Which one is the largest? Negative 19 halves, negative 3 1/4, negative 1.2. It looks to me like 7 is the largest, or is it 38 over 6? Well, 38 over 6 is the same thing as, if I reduce by 2, that's the same thing as 19 over 3. 19 divided by 3 is 6, remainder 1. That is actually 6 1/3. So 7 is larger than 6 1/3. So I'm going to say 6 is the largest, and then 38 over 6 is the second largest, because those two are positive. And then if you look at your answer choices, it cannot be F. Negative 19 halves is not the largest one. It could be maybe G or maybe J, but it can't be H. So we're going to rule those out. So the answer is either G or J. So both have a 7, and then they both have a 38 over 6. Okay, 7 and 38 over 6. So then it comes down to the next number in line, negative 1.2 or negative 19 halves. Well, 19 halves, by the way, that's a negative 19 halves, is the same thing as a negative 9.5. 9.5, 9.5. So 19 divided by 2 is 9.5, or 9.5. So which one is larger? Negative 9.5 or negative 1.2? Well, just to review on the number line, the further you go to the right, the larger the number is. And the further you go to the left, the smaller the number is. So the negative 9.5 would be somewhere over here on the left, and the negative 1.2 would be further to the right. So this would be negative 1.2, and this would be negative 9.5. So which one of those is larger? Well, the negative 1.2 is larger because it's further to the right than the negative 9.5. So therefore, we should pick this one that has a negative 1.2, not this one, the negative 19 halves. So the answer for number 4 should be J. So we'll go ahead and put J here. So the answer here was J. That was the correct answer. Okay. Okay, so problem number 5, it says Mauricio saves the same amount from his paycheck each week. The table shows the total amount of money saved based on the number of weeks. So week 1, he saves $25. And then week 2, he has 50. Week 3, he has 75. Week 4, he has 100, and so on. So week 5, he has 125. So it looks like he's saving $25 each week. And it says, which list shows the dependent quantities from the table? Which one is dependent? Well, the amount of money depends on the number of weeks. So 25 is dependent that you have 1 week, 50 is dependent on 2, and so on. So for number 5, the 25, 50, 75, 100, and 125, those are your dependent quantities. So the answer there should be B. Okay, problem number 6. The table shows the low temperatures in degrees Fahrenheit for a city for each day for 12 days. And so what is the range of temperatures? So the range is going to be the highest minus the lowest. And so 29, 30, 35, 40, 42, 59, 60. This might be the highest. And that is the highest. And the lowest that I saw there is in the 20s. 29 is the lowest. So the high value is 60. and the low value here is 29. And so the range is always the high minus the low. So it looks like the range is 31 degrees. So from a low of 29 to a high of 60, that's exactly 31. So is there a 31 here in our answer choices? Looks like H is 31. So for number 6, the answer is H, and that is the correct answer. Okay, so for number 7, what is the value of the expression shown 4 times a negative 2 plus a negative 10 plus 3 times a negative 8? So if you multiply 4 times a negative 2, 4 times 2 is 8, but that's a negative 8, plus a negative 10, and then plus 3 times a negative 8, that would be 3 times 8 is 24, that would be a negative 24. Since all of those three numbers are negative, we could just add all three, and your answer should be negative. So what do you get when you add a negative 8, a negative 10, and a negative 24? 8 plus 4 is 12, carry the 1. 1 and 1 is 2, and 2 is 4. You're going to get a negative 42. So for number 7, the answer should be D. So just remember that when you're multiplying 4 times a negative 2, you're going to get a negative 8. And 3 times a negative 8, you're going to get this negative 24. And so then when you add a negative 8, negative 10, negative 24, they're all negative. So all you have to do is add all three numbers, and you get a negative 42. Number 8 says the bar graph shows the flavors of gum bought yesterday by the customers at a store. Each customer bought only one flavor of gum. So you have spearmint, which is 50 customers were buying spearmint, peppermint, 20, and watermelon, it looks like there's 30 there, and cinnamon, it looks like there's 20. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to write the numbers on top. So for spearmint, it goes all the way up to 50, so I'm going to write 50 for that one. The peppermint goes all the way up to 20, so that one is 20. And the watermelon goes up to 30, so looking across number of customers, that one is 30. And for cinnamon, if you go all the way across, that one was 20. So it looks like peppermint and cinnamon were both had 20 customers. So let's take a look at the question. Which statement is not supported by the data displayed in the bar graph? So if it says not supported, that means one of these four is false. So we're looking for a false statement. So there should be one false statement. And that means that there's 3 that should be true. So we need to look at all 4 answers and determine which one is false according to the bar graph. Okay, so let's take a look at that. F, the same number of customers bought peppermint as the number of customers who bought cinnamon. Is that true? Yes, that is true. So I'm going to say that this one is a true statement. So that's probably not the answer because we're looking for the false statement. Okay, answer G says the mode of flavor was watermelon. Mode means the one that's the most popular, or the most customers in this case. I don't think that's right. So I think this is probably a false statement. Spearmint was the one that was bought the most. Let's take a look at the rest of the answers. H, there were 120 customers who bought gum yesterday. Well, you can add those. 50 plus 20 plus 30 plus another 20. And if we add those together, 5 plus 2 is 7, plus 3 is 10, plus 2 is 12. That is correct. This is a true statement. there were 120 customers who bought gum yesterday. So since that's true, that one, just like F, is ruled out because we're looking for what is not supported. We're looking for the false statement. There's 1 false and 3 true. So looking at this, J is probably true. There were 2.5 times as many customers who bought spearmint as customers who bought peppermint. Okay, well, spearmint was 50 and peppermint was 20. Is that true? Well, what's 20 times 2.5? Well, that 2.5 times 20, if you multiply this out, this is actually 50. And so that is true. This is a true statement. So that means that the answer has to be G because that was false. So 2.5 times 20 is 50. You can do 20 times 2 and then 20 times the 0.5. And if you do that, you're going to have 40. And 0.5 times 20 is 10. So 40 plus 10 gives you that 50. So there's different ways of multiplying. 20 times 2.5, but that was 50. And that made answer J true. So your correct answer here was G. The mode flavor was 1. That is a false statement. It is not supported by the data displayed in the bar graph. Be very careful when you're reading these on the test because you're looking for what is not supported. You're looking for a false statement. Okay, that was for number 8. Okay, we're looking at number 9 now. Which expression is equivalent to 53p plus 16p plus 7p? So we're adding these up. So you're going to add 53p, but they're not asking for an answer where you would actually add 53 plus 16 plus 7. Now, you notice that here you have all addition. You have a plus and a plus. There is no multiplication. So in your answer choices, 16p times 7p plus 53p, that is not correct. That doesn't make sense because you're multiplying 16p with the 7p. Answer B is 53p times 16p. That is also not correct. You're multiplying. Answer C, you're multiplying here times 53p, 16p plus 7p. Again, this problem has addition only. There is no multiplication. And so anything that has multiplication is going to be incorrect. So that leaves us with answer D. This should be the answer. You have a plus here and a plus there. You're adding the 53p, which was here. You're adding the 16p, which was there. And you're adding the 7p, which was there. Answer D is the only correct answer there. Okay, number 10. A portion of Taekwon's check register is shown. Before Taekwon made his utility payment on March 24th, the balance of his account was $1,094.80. So this is his starting balance. This is how much he has before he makes the payment. So these are the payments or withdrawals. So these are going to be negative. You're going to subtract $193.66. It also has to pay for rent on March 28th. So that's going to be minus $650. And these are your deposits. So these are going to add 50 and you're going to add $842.75 for his paycheck. So he has a gift of $50 and he has a paycheck of $842.75 and that's added to the total. And so you're going to subtract $193.66 and you're going to subtract $650. One thing we could do is we could add these amounts right here. And if you add 842.50, add them to the total. So if he starts off with $1,094.80, and we're going to add $842.75, and then we're also going to add $50 for a gift that was given to him. So he puts it in his account, his bank account. And so if you add 0, 5, and 0, that's going to be 5. And then 8 plus 7 is 15. Carry a 1. So you're going to have 1 plus 4 is 5, and 5 plus 2 is 7. And then you're going to have 9 plus 4 is 13, and 13 plus 5 is 18. And carry a 1. 1 plus 8 is 9. And then bring down the 1. So he has 1987.55. That's how much money he's going to have total. And then he's going to spend the $650 for rent and $193.66. And you could add both of those and then subtract. So if we add the $193.66 to the $650, you're going to have 66 cents. And then 3 plus 0 is 3. And then 9 plus 5 is 14. Carry a 1. That'd be 2. And 6 would be 8. So you have $843.66. That's going to be the total amount spent or withdrawn from the account. So we need to subtract 843. So maybe we'll use red for that. We're going to subtract 843.66. So I want you to subtract $1,987.55 minus what he's spending. He's spending $193.66 for utility payments and $650 for the rent. That's the $843.66. So go ahead and subtract those two and see what you get. So 15 minus 6, that's 9. Gonna have a 9 here. And then we're gonna have 14 minus 6, that's 8. So you're gonna have 89. And then since you borrowed, this 7 becomes a 6. 6 minus 3 becomes a 3. And then 8 minus 4 is 4. And then 9 minus 8 is 1. And bring down the 1. So you have $1,143.89. And that was the correct answer for this problem. So on this one, you have to be careful adding the deposits and adding the withdrawals, subtracting the withdrawals from the total balance. And so he would have a total of $1,143.89. That was for problem number 10. Okay, so number 11 says, which list of angle measures could be the angle measures of a triangle? Well, the three angles in a triangle have to add up to 180 degrees. So we know that we need to get 180 degrees for three angles in a triangle. So what we need to do is we need to add those three for A, 120 plus 45 plus 20. And you're going to have 5 here, 6. It's not going to be 180, so it cannot be answer A. So we're going to rule that one out. Let's try answer B. So we're going to have 100, 130, another 130. That's going to be 3 and 3 is 6. That's a lot. 360. That's like 2 triangles. It can't be answer B. Well, let's take a look at answer C. 35 plus 60 plus 85. 5 plus 5 is 10. Carry 1. So 1 plus 3 is 4, and 6 is 10. 10 plus 8 is 18. This one looks good. This one looks real good right now. C adds up to 180. We said they should add up to 180. The answer is C. Now, just to make sure, we're going to go ahead and do D also. 110 plus 55 plus a 25 and see what we get. 5 and 5 is 10. Carry 1, 2, and 2 is 4, 5 is 9. It just went over by 10 degrees, so it cannot be this one. So the correct answer was C for number 11. The answer is C, since those three angles add up to 180 degrees, and that is a triangle. Okay, so for number 12, there is a 1 in 8 chance of a player winning a game. Which is equivalent to the chance of the player winning a game? Is it 100 out of 125? Is it 125 out of 10? This one doesn't make sense. Is it 1.25? That one is a little bit too high. I think it could be F or J, but what we have to do is convert 1/8 into a decimal. What is 1/8 as a decimal? So you can take 1.000 and divide that by 8, and 8 into 10 is 1. 1 times 8 is 8. Subtract that, you're going to have 2. Bring down the 0. 8 into 20 goes 2 times. 2 times 8 is 16. Subtract that, and you get 4. Bring down the 0. 8 into 40 is 5. It's 0.125. So 1/8 is 0.125. And so 1/8 as a fraction is the same thing as 0.125 as a decimal. So it has to be this one right here. Now, I think all of you should know that 1/2 is 0.5 as a decimal. 50%. 1/2 is 50%, or 0.50. Half of that is 1/4. 1/2 of 1/2 is 1/4. And 1/4 would be half of 50, which is 25. If you have 25 cents, that's 1/4 of a dollar. So 1/4 is 0.25. That's a quarter dollar. Now, we don't have 1/8 of a dollar, but we do know that 1/8 is 1/2 of 1/4. So if you take 1/2 of 1/4, you get 1/8. What's half of 25? Well, 0.25 is the same as 0.250. Half of 0.250 is 0.125. Now, these equivalents right here are very common, and you might remember this. 1/2 is 0.5, 0.50, or 0.500. They're the equivalents. 1/4 would be half of 0.5, which is 0.25, and 1/8 would be half of 0.25, or half of 250 is 0.125. And so this was the correct answer. So I hope that helps you on this test. And if you like what you're seeing so far, hit the like button. Subscribe to see more videos like this one. That was for number 12. The answer was J. Let's move on. We've got a couple more to cover. Number 13, Dennis made an extra $245 for selling furniture. The extra $245 was 7% of the total value of the furniture that he sold. So what is the total value that he sold? So is it 7% of 3,500, 7% of 171, 7% of 350, or 7% of 1,715? So this $245 is 7% of the total value, 7%, or 7 out of 100 of the total value. So you have to multiply by 7% times x, or you could say 0.07, that's 7%, times some number, gives you 245. So to get this number, you have to divide by 245 divided by 0.07. Okay? So we're going to take 245 divided by 0.07. And we can move the decimal over twice and move the decimal point here twice, add 2 zeros. So 7 into 24 is 3. 3 times 7 is 21. Subtract that, you're going to get 3. 7 to 35 is 5. 5 times 7 is 35. Then you have a couple extra zeros. So that's actually, those 2 zeros means you actually have 3,500. And so the answer should be A. Now, if you didn't want to divide this, you could have taken 7% of 3,500 and see if it gives you 245. So we're going to do that. 3,500 as a way of checking times 7%, which is 0.07. 7 times 0, 7 times 0, 7 times 5 is 35. Carry a 3. 7 times 3 is 21. Plus 3 more is 24. And then you have 2 decimal places because of the percent. So it goes right here. So it is 245. It does make sense. It does check. 7% of 3,500 is $245. So the answer was A for number 13. Okay, so number 14, the rectangular model is made up of squares, and each square is of equal size. What percentage of this model is shaded? Okay, so on the top row, you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. So you're going to have 10, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So this is 8. So 10 times 8, that means that there's 80 total squares. Okay, and if we were to cut this in half, that would be 50%, right down the middle. So do we have 50%? No, because there's 4 missing. So we do not have 50%, so it can't be G. It's going to be a number less than 50%. It could be 45 or 40 or 36. So then we have to count the squares that are shaded. And you're going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So there's 5 here, 10, 15, 20. So we have 20 there. And then now we only have 4. So we're going to have 4, 8, 12, 16. So that's 36. We're missing 4 here. That would have given us 40, which would be exactly half, 40 out of 80. So we actually have 36 squares that are shaded out of the total. So let's see. What we have here is we have what percentage of the model is shaded. So you have 36 that are shaded out of the total, 80 total. And then we have to convert that to a percent. So 36 out of 80, and then multiply by 100. So anytime you want to change to a percent, multiply by 100, that'll change it to a percent. So we have to divide 36 divided by 80, multiply by 100. Maybe we can reduce this. 4 goes into 36 9 times, and 4 goes into 80 20 times. So now I have 9 out of 20. 36 out of 80 is the same thing as 9 out of 20, and then I can multiply this by 100 to change to a percent. And 20 goes into 100 5 times. 9 times 5 is what? 45%. Now we did say that the answer has to be less than 50%, just a little bit less, so the answer was H. So for number 14, the answer was H, 45%. Okay, and that gives us the correct answer. Is there a way of checking this? Yes, take 80 and multiply times 0.45, and you're going to have 5 times 0, 5 times 8, that's 40. 4 times 0, 4 times would be 32. And so you're going to have 36.00. So 36 shaded, that is correct. The answer was correct, 45%. And this will be the conclusion of the first 14 for part 1 for the STAAR Grade 6 Mathematics test from 2021. Stay tuned for the rest of the series here, and we'll have part 2 and a part 3 coming up later. Make sure you subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you're notified when we upload the next videos. Thank you very much.